proficient drug dealer, pardoned by Trump. Put him up. This guy, okay? Drug smuggler who was pardoned by Donald Trump has now been arrested for the 4th time. Okay, quite an impressive resume, by the way. He smuggles drugs, gets pardoned by a sitting president, gets arrested again. We have the update. So drug smuggler who's pardoned by Trump has been arrested for the 4th time after allegedly shoving a 3-year-old to the ground. I don't even understand the logistics of that. But that's the accusation. Jonathan Braun used a connection with Jared Kushner's father to receive clemency. He was arrested for the 4th time this weekend after allegedly punching an acquaintance in the face and then allegedly deciding to push the man's 3-year-old daughter to the ground. Okay. All right. The push left a red mark on the child's back, along with, quote, substantial pain. Court documents said Mr. Braun faces charges of assault, endangering the welfare of a child, and injuring a child under the age of 7. Okay. He's a drug smuggler. Don't recall drug smugglers abusing 3-year-olds. There's more. Once a major player in the predatory lending sector, Mr. Braun was banned from the business by a New York judge for deceptive practices in a civil case filed by the FTC. FTC said Braun ran a loan company that illegally withdrew money from customers' accounts and sometimes threatened physical violence to get them to pay. Members of the jury slapped him with a $20 million judgment. He's also shown a penchant for violence, according to the New York Times. He's been accused of punching his wife, his father-in-law, who's nearly 80, in the head, groping a woman's breast while touching himself, assaulting a nurse, and threatening a synagogue attendee who requested he be quiet during a service. He has a lot in common with a particular politician he knows. There's more. Braun sentenced to 10 years for smuggling and selling. How much? 1.72 billion in cannabis. That's a lot of cannabis, man. Do you understand what I'm saying? 1.72 billion. If you remember, it was Mayor Rudy Giuliani in a recorded conversation who told the world that you can buy a pardon from Trump for $1 million a pop. And that Trump was going to split the money with Rudy. Okay, so obviously this guy has that and more, all right? So this was between 2007 and 2010. He was not in Washington that day. He was just getting out of prison, released at the end of Trump's first term. He served only 2.5 years of his sentence, okay? So he's currently awaiting a court date. The alleged crimes committed by those who were pardoned don't end there. Recidivism is a common theme among the Trump pardons. Among those convicted for activities during the Jan 6 terrorist attack, 3 were rearrested for crimes against children. Let's run them down. Theodore Middendorf, who pleaded guilty of destruction of property, is now back in prison, serving a 19-year sentence after pleading guilty to committing an act of sexual assault against a 7-year-old, all right? To get that many years, it was quite egregious, okay? David Daniel, who pleaded guilty to assaulting police officers on Jan 6th is being held without bond after being charged with, quote, production of pornography related to children and possession of pornography related to children. Allegedly involving a pubescent minor and a child under 12. See, these are the make America great again folk. Okay? Now, those on the right, they're not going to criticize these individuals. They're not going to say a word. They received a freaking presidential pardon. Okay? Literally a get out of jail free card. The government also suggests Daniel, who pleaded guilty to assaulting police officers, by the way, once again, quote, engaged in sexual acts with 2 young girls in his own family. Meanwhile, in Texas, Andrew Tate, who was serving a 6-year prison sentence for assaulting police officers with bear spray and a metal whip on Jan 6, is facing 2016 charges for soliciting a minor. How is it that all these individuals have this in common of all things that could be in common? It's like they're part of a group chat or something. Okay, he also had prior criminal case remains unresolved. He allegedly sent explicit messages to someone he thought was a minor, okay? But in fact was law enforcement. In addition to those 3, NPR identified several other Jan 6 defendants with prior convictions or pending charges for crimes, including sexual assault, domestic violence, manslaughter, drug trafficking. Are you starting to get the picture here? They all know what's up with each other. They didn't vote for Trump because they believed that the left was trying to make him a criminal. They voted for him because he is one. All right, Yasmin, thoughts?
What did anyone think was going to happen? This is exactly what happens when you allow people to get away with things. And I want to point out very quickly the irony of the fact that Trump pardoned this guy. Trump is also insisting that we need to get into a trade war with one of our strongest allies right now because allegedly, according to him and not really a whole lot of data, Canada is in cahoots with the radical left Democrats and the drug cartels. And that's a quote, by the way. Trump has looped in the radical left Democrats with the drug cartels. He's saying that Canada is flooding this country with fentanyl, and that's why he has to impose 25% tariffs against them. And when 4 Republicans voted with Democrats to block those Canadian tariffs, he asked on Truth Social, what is wrong with them? Who can want that to happen to our beautiful families and why? And so for a president who's so concerned about American families, as you pointed out, Doc, he's still giving pardons to guys like this one who's facing assault charges, endangering a child's welfare and injuring a child under the age of 7. He has demonstrated violent behavior against children, against our beautiful families, but he's also punched his wife and his father-in-law. He's not stable, he's not safe, and he's got no remorse because he has a get out of jail free card because of his connections to the Kushners. Money and proximity to power really can empower somebody, and in this case, it's enabling someone to live a life as if there are no consequences for his actions, and you can't blame him for thinking that there won't be any consequences. He got pardoned once, maybe he can get another one. Or at least it's not unrealistic that he would believe that he can get another one. Recidivism also is a problem in this country in general because our prison system is not designed to rehabilitate people. But an argument can be made that maybe people who have served their time in prison won't want to do it again. You can maybe argue that they won't want their public records to become further tainted because that could potentially bar them from future opportunities once they're out of prison. But these people that you mentioned in when you were giving the story, these Trump pardon recipients, they don't even have that fear. They have done some of the worst things that people can do to other people, to our society, and they have gotten away with it even after the worst of their crimes was known at people at the highest by people at the highest levels. They got a presidential pardon. They didn't just get away with something. They were caught doing something bad, and the president of the party, who claims that all they care about are families here in this country and they don't like drug dealers, they don't like anybody who's trafficking anything. That party is the one that granted this pardon, and the party supporters said, yeah, that's fine. They looked the other way. They didn't even say anything about it.
Yep, and not one damn MAGA member will denounce any of them, all right?